We are back. I'm your host, Barry Waxler, here with the always lovely and talented Andrea Kay. I'm just watching her play with her microphone.
You were watching nervously while I set the mic.
Daintily, okay? So something about Andrea and her microphone today.
Mm-hmm.
We have the incredible Urban Miaris with us, and we have our first guest of the day. Welcome, Mr. Terry White from Sunwest Trust.
Thank you very much. Glad to be with you.
Great. Hey, glad to have you, Terry. You know, I've known you for some time, but you're new to our listeners. So, Sunwest Trust, tell us what you do.
Well, we do a couple of things. Here in New Mexico, we are an escrow agent for owner financing, and then the thing we do nationwide that would be of interest to your listeners is that we are a custodian for self-directed IRAs. So we're a trust company here in New Mexico, and we act as custodian for self-directed IRAs. Okay,
tell our listeners, because the terminology is real easy for you and I, but probably not for everybody listening. What is a custodian and what is a self-directed IRA?
Well, great question.
Yeah, because I hear custodian and I think somebody's sweeping the floor. I don't know.
Yeah. She wants somebody to sweep her floors, okay?
Yes, please, come to my house later today.
That's a different kind of custodian. But no, the IRS requires, if you have a self-directed IRA, that you have the assets held by a custodian. And a custodian has to be a bank or a trust company. So we act as custodians holding the assets. Now, a self-directed IRA, what most people don't know is that every IRA is self-directed. It's just that the custodian, the IRS has allowed the custodian to choose what they will let their clients invest in. So your brokerage houses out there choose to let you invest in stocks, bonds, mutual funds, the kinds of things that they sell and represent. What Sunwest Trust does that's different than that is we don't sell anything, but we will allow you to invest your IRA in anything that the IRS does not specifically prohibit. So the first question we always get, we get this from CPAs all the time, is, I have a client that wants to buy a piece of real estate in his IRA, and I told him that was illegal. And so then we have to point them to Internal Revenue Code 4975, where it says the only thing you cannot invest in with your retirement account is life insurance and collectibles. So that leaves everything else open, and we allow you to invest in any of those things that's not specifically prohibited.
Right, and I think the big question, you said it one way, I want to say it a different way, make sure our listeners get this. What happens, if I walk into Terry White and I say, I want one of your Sunwest Trust self-directed IRAs so I can buy, quote, the house next door or a house down the street, whatever I want to buy, you're going to tell me yes. What happens when I walk into Merrill Lynch or Morgan Stanley and I say, I want to take my IRA and I want to buy the house next door? What are they going to tell you?
Well, that's a good question. I'm not sure. They could tell you one of two things. They could either tell you you can't do that, or they could tell you we won't allow you to do that. The one saying you can't do that is not exactly correct. The one saying we won't allow you to do that is correct. So there are custodians out there that if your brokerage house, you use Merrill Lynch, if they won't let you do it, there are people out there that will allow you to do that.
Right.
And that's our niche.
Right. But the reason that most brokerage houses don't allow you to do it is because you're taking assets away from them to do it in something private. So they're supporting you as a custodian without making any money on it. You need a private custodian or a self-directed, however we want to phrase what you do. We need somebody like you to allow us to do it so we can track it and make sure we're doing everything the right way. Am I correct?
You are correct. And the term, what I do has come to be known as self-directed IRAs, although that's not technically correct. So we can just use that term for an account where you can invest in things other than stocks, bonds, mutual funds. But one of the reasons they don't allow you to do it is exactly what you said. They don't make any money off you buying a house in your IRA because they're not real estate brokers. And that brings up another point, is why we charge a fee for our service, because we don't sell anything, so we charge a fee for being the custodian. Every custodian in my business charges a fee, and the fees are all over the board, anywhere from the $225 we charge to an asset-based charge.
Right.
So
interesting. Well, let's talk a little bit about what are some of the things we can do if I want to go to a self-directed IRA versus a traditional IRA with another brokerage firm. What can I do with that money that you can help with?
Well, the thing is it's wide open. The IRS doesn't tell you what you can do. They tell you what you can't do. So like I said, they say you cannot invest in life insurance or collectibles. So, Barry, we have clients that own real estate, a lot of clients that own real estate. We have clients that own precious metals. I think we actually have a client that owns a racehorse in his IRA.
Wow.
So anything that's not a collectible or insurance, and in some things you might end up with something, you might have somebody bring something to us that is probably okay to have in an IRA, but it's just not administratively feasible for us.
Right.
And so we might say, no, we really don't want to, own jet skis, in the Cayman Islands for you to rent out or something like that. I don't know. That's probably a silly example, but there are some things. But the majority of people do some very good, simple investments. They own a piece of rental real estate. They might own a piece of speculative, a piece of vacant land that they think is going to become worth a lot one of these days. I just visited a company the other day that several of our customers invested with them, and I just went to look for my own purposes. But it's a private company that you couldn't buy at a Merrill Lynch because it's not a marketable security. But the people that are investing in this think it might be the next Facebook or the next Google or something like that.
So you're getting something before it hits the market and goes public.
Yeah, and I have to be honest and say, you're getting something before it hits the market. You're getting something that probably has a lot of risk involved with it, but by the same token, it might have a huge reward. You just never know, and that's up to our clients. We don't make that decision for anybody. It's up to our customers to do their own due diligence and understand what they're investing in.
Right. You're listening to Close Up on Syndicated Business here on KCBQ, streaming live at AM 1170, theanswer.com. Give us a tweet at CloseUpSD. Email me at barry@closeupsandiego.com or find our page on Facebook. We want to hear from you. I'm your host, Barry Waxler, here with Andrea Kay, Urban Miaris, and our guest is Terry White from Sunwest Trust. So, Terry, we've talked about self-directed IRAs. You also support self-directed Roth IRAs, and you also support 401ks as well, correct?
We support traditional and Roth IRAs, SEPs and Simples, for those business owners out there. And then also for the business owner with no employees other than a spouse, we can provide them with an individual 401k.
Great. And why would I go to a 401k versus an IRA, a solo 401k versus an IRA?
Well, if you're a self-employed individual, again with no employees, the advantages the 401k has over an IRA is the contribution limits are much higher. So if you have a business that's making a substantial profit, you can contribute. I believe, don't hold me to it, I believe the number is $53,000 a year compared to the $5,500 in an IRA. And the other big advantage, I think, to a 401k is you can borrow money from it. 50% of the value in the 401k or $50,000, whichever is less, and then you just have to pay that back to yourself within 5 years and no less than quarterly payments.
Right. So if somebody has a retirement plan and they want to use some of that money for their own personal needs, the only way to do that would be in a 401k in a traditional, or not a traditional, but a government-approved loan from the 401k, which you can't do in an IRA, correct?
Correct. Now they can, there are some exclusions that you can take money out of an IRA. A first-time home buyer can take up to $10,000. If you have a disability, you can start taking money out without penalty. But the difference between doing that in an IRA and doing something similar to that in a 401k is you can pay the 401k back. If let's say you want to buy a home, you're a first-time home buyer, and you pull $10,000 out of your IRA, you can never put that back.
Right.
So that's a big advantage to me because you can pay that back to the 401k, with interest. So you're basically paying yourself interest, which is kind of a cool thing.
Right. Yeah, that is. And, one thing, we're starting to run a little bit short on time, but one thing I'd like to address is for our listeners, there's a fine line in a self-directed IRA to what you can use the assets for versus what you can't. And what you can't, I would classify that as a self-dealing transaction, which violates the rules. So can you delineate a little bit about what self-dealing means?
Yeah, they have these parties called disqualified parties. So you cannot do business, your IRA can't do business with you. So in other words, I can't sell something from my personal holdings into my IRA, and they can't do business with your ascendants or descendants. So you can't do business with your parents or your kids. Oddly enough, that's how the IRS defines family. So your IRA, my IRA could do business with my brother because they don't define that as family, which is kind of interesting to me. But then you have a few other disqualified parties, people that provide services to your IRA. For instance, if I had an investment that one of my IRA customers here at Sunwest wanted to make an investment in, and he couldn't do it because his account was here at Sunwest. I provide services to his IRA, so he couldn't do business with me. I was a disqualified party to him. So again, going back to life insurance collectibles, and then if you do business with a disqualified party, that's called a prohibited transaction. Right. And so that's something that you need to be careful with.
Yeah. So there's a lot of rules and regulations to understand. It's not as simple as just setting up a self-directed IRA. That's why we need professionals like you out there. So tell our listeners before we go, how do they find out more about Sunwest Trust, and what will they find when they get to your website?
Great. Thanks, Barry. They can find us at sunwesttrust.com. That's our website. And one of the cool things there is we don't spend a lot of money on talent, so I'm the talent on all of our videos. But we have over 190 videos that talk about various aspects of IRAs, traditional Roth, and individual 401ks. So there's a lot of information there that they can go and find out about. And then we also have an offer for a free book. If somebody's interested in that, they can go to the website and find that free book offer and let us know. We'll send one to them.
Great. Well, by the way, in case you're interested in hiring some really highly talented radio personalities, I know exactly where you can go to find them, okay?
I'm always in the market for highly talented people.
Great. Hey,
I don't pay very well, though.
Yeah. Well, we'll work on that one. Anyway, Terry, I thank you for being with us. It's been real interesting. I'll ask you to come back when you finish writing that other book that you're working on.
Absolutely. I would love to do that. We're hoping to have that available in January at the latest.
Great. Appreciate you being with us.
Thanks, Barry. Thanks, Andrea.
Thank you, Terry. Have a good day.
Okay.
All right. Take care.
Okay. This is Close Up on San Diego Business on KCBQ, streaming live at AM1170theanswer.com. Send us a tweet at CloseUpSD or just find our page on Facebook. You can always email me at barry@closeupsandiego.com. Let me know what you think. I'm your host, Barry Waxler. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.
Taking care of business and working overtime. What else?